Good afternoon and welcome to the Council Committee for November 9th, 2021, 4:30 p.m. I'd like to start off with acknowledge the traditional territories and the oral practices of the Blackfoot Nation, which include the Siksika, the Kainai, and the Piikani. We also acknowledge the Tstina, the Stoney Nakoda First Nations, the Métis Nation Region 3, and all people who make their homes in the Treaty 7 region of Southern Alberta. We're making this acknowledgement to demonstrate our continuing efforts to work together as we strive for reconciliation through cumulative and collective learning. Okay, we have some items on the agenda there, and I think we have to add an item or two to the agenda. Go ahead, Alan.
Yes, we've had a request to add small pet veterinarians.
Okay, so we'll add that as item 4 here too. Okay, we'll start off here with toys for tickets, and that's Amy. Amy, you're up.
Thank you. Through the chair to mayor and council. For the past number of years, municipal enforcement has run the Toys for Tickets program. The program allows residents to pay for a parking ticket that they receive with a new unwrapped toy. Once the toy has been collected, the ticket is absolved. The toys collected are then donated to Scotiabank's Smiles for Christmas. The program has received publicity through the media, and whenever a ticket is issued, a tag with program details is provided so the recipient is aware of their options. For 2021, we are proposing to reintroduce the program from November 15th to December 10th, with all toys to be collected by December 15th. The toy must be valued at $30 or more, and a receipt must be submitted for proof. Therefore, administration is recommending that council committee approve the Toys for Tickets program.
Okay, any questions or comments? Last year, how many toys did we collect?
Through the chair to Mayor Petrie, I can't remember off the top of my head. Logan and Alexis actually delivered them. I would say well over 50. Some people donated more than one toy, and we actually had people reach out to see if they could just bring a donation to City Hall, even though they didn't receive a ticket.
Oh, okay. So we're not encouraging people to speed or do all that other stuff there.
It's only for parking tickets.
Oh, for parking tickets.
Under our traffic bylaw, they're $57 tickets.
Okay.
And then you can bring in a toy for that. But for speeding and other things, you still have to pay your tickets.
Okay, so maybe we want people to, more parking tickets then. Okay. Okay, all in favor of going ahead with this again? Okay. Any objections? Okay. Okay, the 2021 Q3 Municipal Enforcement Quarterly Report. It's up to Amy again.
Thank you. Through the chair to mayor and council. Each quarter I present information on different activities that the enforcement officers undertake, as well as statistics. So for outreach and education, we continue to attend APIS training. The provincial government has required any agency that issues tickets under the TSA or the Traffic Safety Act to move to an electronic system, and this is expected to launch February 1st of 2022. We had one officer attend a threat pattern recognition course. Car seat clinics were held in July and August, and members also attended the farmers markets throughout the summer to provide education on various topics. We also had them attend summer camps at the JBS Canada Centre where bike and crosswalk safety were discussed. And members continue to participate in Safe Communities Committee videos, which are available on their Facebook page. We also continue to meet monthly with the Brooks RCMP detachment and the county CPOs, and one joint force operation was completed this quarter. From May to August, we hosted a practicum student from Mount Royal, and they completed 280 hours of work and assisted officers with various complaints. We also had our officers participate in a multi-agency citywide search for a missing person. Approximately 270 hours was spent on traffic enforcement during this quarter, and violations issued include Class 7 drivers, distracted driving, and speeding. And approximately 255 hours was spent on parking enforcement, proactive patrols, and other bylaw enforcement files and citizen complaints. Patrols in the school and playground zones continued throughout the quarter, and our CPOs and RCMP officers continually patrol playground and school zones, but they had a heavier focus in September with students returning to school. An estimated 95 hours was spent on animal control bylaw enforcement, and the various files responded to included cats and dogs at large, animal neglect, animal abuse, livestock, and barking dogs. We also launched the online pet licensing system in September, and this system allows residents to renew their animal licenses online with a debit or credit card, and they can upload any important information as well as report their pets as missing, so our officers get notified. I've also attached BAP's Q3 financial information as well. And we had one officer undertake various evening and night shifts to combat the graffiti and signage complaints as well as traffic concerns. So one person was charged under the community standards bylaw for the graffiti, and several impaired drivers were also found. And 2 cleanup orders were also issued on 2 separate vacant properties. So the Q3 stats are attached, and the officers and I can answer any questions you have. Otherwise, we're recommending that this is accepted as information.
When was the charge issued for the graffiti? When was the charge issued for the graffiti?
Through the chair to Mayor and Councillor Juska. I got that right, eh? Sweet. Okay, so the charge was laid, I believe, if memory serves, would have been the first week of September, and it was around 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah, and the reason I ask is I walk around, we walk our dog every night and on weekends and everything, and it doesn't seem to have diminished. I've seen quite a few more and larger paint decorations around town lately. I did see kind of a reduction in the little paper signs, though they seem to be coming back as well. So it's, if anything, it seems to have gotten worse lately. So is there anything else can be done?
It's the same individual that's doing it. There's a mental health issue at play. And other than physically holding his hand every day, it's hard for us to ensure that he doesn't do it every day. The RCMP is also involved in this matter with this individual, along with other files that they have going with the same individual, without getting too much into it. But we are aware of the ongoing signage issues and spray painting issues, and we'll be adjusting our schedules accordingly to ensure that we work some more night shifts to try and charge him again. If we can get the spray paint graffiti, it's damage to property, which is a criminal code charge. Right now, we've just got him on the bylaw for the signs. But we are very confident that the individual we have for the signage is the individual that is doing the spray painting. And, you know, there's an old adverb in policing that says the public are the police are the public. Without the help from the citizens on Fairview Avenue, it would have been very difficult for me to have done my job in this regard. And that charge we were able to get on this individual is directly related to the communication and engagement from members of the community. So we're working on it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Go ahead, Marissa. Counselor.
First of all, thanks for your hard work. It's popping up everywhere. My question is, because there is so much graffiti, how much of the graffiti is not from this individual, or is everything that we're seeing from this one person?
So everything we're seeing right now is the same individual. The messaging is the same. It's hard to really pinpoint the writing style from paper to spray paint, but there's a lot of similarities in some of the letters that are in the wording and the messaging. We're very confident it is the same individual. We have an eyewitness from one of the restaurants in town who observed a male matching the description doing the spray painting, so we're very confident it's the same individual. But it's to physically catch them or get video evidence, and that's what's the difficult part right now. So,
Counselor, good enough?
Not necessarily with the spray paint issue, but I was curious, I know it's only been a month now for the dog license for online. Is there how long until you think we'll get some stats on that to see?
Through the chair to Councillor Goodenough. Previously, in our old animal control bylaw, all licenses expired at the end of the year. So most of the current licenses are going to be due to be payable by the end of this year. So after that, it's likely that we'll have a better idea of how many people have started using the system.
Any other questions or comments? Councillor Walter?
Sorry, this is to come back to the graffiti again, but so apart from like who's doing the graffiti, that's obviously like that issue is dealt with, but what can we do to clean it up? Because I guess like I don't know who this is directed to, but you know, sometimes it's on private property. Is there a way that we could assist those, you know, the owners of that private property to get that cleaned up quickly? Because it's a real eyesore. It looks terrible. And the stuff that's on public property, I don't know, I guess I would think that our priority should just like get rid of it as quickly as we can, because it seems, yeah, it's just not nice to look at. It sends a poor message, I think.
Through the chair to Mayor and Council, Councillor Wardrop. Sorry, it's such a mouthful. So we do have a bylaw in place that requires individuals on private property who have graffiti on their property to remove it. I can tell you right now, we've never charged anybody for that because it's obviously not them putting it there. So what our department can do from our side of things is work with the owners of these private properties to give them as much time as they need. Depending on what the spray paint has been applied to will largely determine the cost of fixing it. You know, if it's on brick or concrete, it's much different than wood where you can just paint over it. I don't want to speak on behalf of Don here, but I know the city has gone around and done what we can on our end to cover up the stuff on the sidewalk and on city property. So any other questions related to city property, I would direct it to Don or John or whomever from that side of things. But unfortunately, from municipal enforcement, other than just giving owners time to clean it up, that's what we can do. We can potentially look at doing something else, maybe, Amy. But as of right now, that's what we can do.
Yeah, could we potentially look at doing something else to assist the owners of that private property? Because I don't think punitive measures would be a good thing, right? Let's not ticket people, but I don't know, offering some kind of resources to help with that.
Councillor, good enough?
Wouldn't, just in response, I'm thinking if he's criminally charged, wouldn't it be his responsibility to, I don't know, Public Nuisance Act or something? I thought they're, like, because under the Young Offenders Act, I think they have to repay back, right? There's damages, so there should be, if there's charges laid, then he should have to look after, or that person, sorry.
So if this individual is caught doing the spray painting, so the damage to property, I don't want to speak too much on the RCMP's behalf, but he won't essentially have to repay his debt in that regard, and this gentleman is in his mid-30s. So the Young Offenders Act definitely doesn't apply to this individual. But yeah, it's, if anything, it'll be probation, that kind of stuff. You know, a fine that unfortunately probably will go unpaid. So it still comes down to, you know, private property owners can go after them, but that's time, money, yeah.
Councillor Jessica?
Yeah, so I don't know how much it would help, but I do know that through my activities dealing with household hazardous waste, on several occasions, we did receive a lot of materials that were tailored specifically for cleaning off graffiti. Now, I know it's difficult on porous surfaces, but apparently there are a lot of products that are designed specifically to deal with these kinds of incidents. And I don't know if Don's had any experience with that or not, but possibly it came from the schools, and maybe they can direct us to something like a strong hydrocarbon solvent or oxidizing agent that might deal with the stuff, especially while it's fresh.
Councillor Idris?
So going back to the same issue, I think if the person is charged through the RCMP, through the criminal code, victim services can be part of that, and there is the Victims of Crime Proceed Fund or so like that. So I don't know if the person is not charged, how can people access that, and if there is maybe a way that we can talk to victim services and see if there is any way to help.
Council Nesbitt?
Well, I was just going to say that I've already offered my services to a couple of the building owners to cover up the paint as long as they supply it, because white isn't just white. There's so many different kinds of white, and I didn't want to get a white can of paint and start painting and make it look worse. So I did do one building, and I've offered my services downtown to the other one. And the one up by the bowling alley there, I haven't gone in to see them yet, but I'm sure they've got some blue paint inside their building. I'm more than willing to touch it up, and as long as this guy's not going to keep coming back every weekend and going over it again.
So I think in conclusion here, on this topic here, hopefully maybe the rest will put a stop to it. Secondly, the city does look after what's on our property, and I see the pathways once in a while to do that. And then it's up to the private owners to look after their own, but we're not going to be punitive on their case there, and we'll send John Nesbitt out to help them. Okay. Any other questions on that one there? I had a couple questions there. I know with vehicle registrations, and we talked about that and about buying a camera there. Have you run into any issues with that? I mean, even trying to get your vehicle registered online now is a little difficult there, but we talked about that. Any issues there? With people not renewing the registration? Because I think as of this year, we don't need the tags anymore.
Through the chair to Mayor Petrie, I haven't noticed any uptake in unregistered vehicles. In fact, I've seen less. And I do stop quite a few vehicles throughout my week, and very rarely now am I writing them. So I don't know if the new program is being it online more so. Like, it's always been online, but I think now that there's no stickers, people are more likely to do it online. I think there's some convenience to that. But I haven't seen an increase in unregistered vehicles. As far as running them, we've never really had the opportunity to digitally run them quickly as we're driving, other than just looking at the sticker. So now with the sticker not being a valid reason, so to speak, to stop the vehicle, we're relying on other offenses that bring them to a stop to then find. So in that regard, sure, there's probably more people out there driving unregistered. We're just not physically being able to stop them for the license plate issue anymore. And a lot of people are being encouraged to take the stickers off. So it's once they're off, it's even harder to determine whether a plate is actually registered or not.
So just like the RCMP would have a camera, they can scan that license plate and get it done right away. Is that how it works now? Like with the RCMP, I know we had talked about that, but for us, the camera would be quite expensive to do that. But I'm just kind of curious how the RCMP...
Again, not to speak on their behalf, I'm pretty certain they don't have any vehicles here equipped with rooftop cameras. And far as I know, even in the province, most major cities, it's primarily their traffic units that have those systems, not every general duty vehicle. So, because it is an expensive system, because it's not just cameras, it's software, it's everything else. So.
Okay, good, thank you. Just on another note, I often get complaints about litter, and I know, how do you handle that? And that's a really tough one to handle, because you have to catch the person in the act of littering. And I know there's some places in the community where it's just sort of piled up, but I know we have unsightly bylaws on that, and I guess maybe that's the way to go there. But if you can just kind of comment a little bit about litter.
So the biggest area where we see a lot of our litter accumulation is at rental properties, larger apartment buildings, people moving out at the end of the month, or, you know, the old broken window theory, somebody sees a mattress, somebody's driving around looking to dump a TV, they end up just dumping the TV where the mattress is. So we tend to work with the property owners as much as we can and educate them, and primarily just get them to remove it. I can't think of the last time we've enforced an unsightly property charge on a property owner who is actively working with us to clean their area around their dumpster. There have been instances where some property owners have just not wanted to clean up, and we've had to move forward in different directions. But unless they have cameras, good cameras, where we can get license plates, it's so hard to charge people. And even though some of those night shifts that I've done, those are some of the things we're focusing on, and I was actually able to get a few people illegally dumping, charge them, and then get them to remove their items. That unfortunately seems like the best way, other than just working with property owners to ensure they get it cleaned up on a timely manner. And most now have actually got on a schedule per week where they have members of their property management company coming around and actually removing the materials, so.
Okay. Good. I think for the citizens, if they do notice litter, especially on a private property or on a business property, is to, I guess, get a hold of you guys for an unsightly bylaw violation. And I think we sort of go through the tracking on that, right, Amy?
Yes, through the chair to Mayor Petrie, they can use Newell Connect. If they want to report anything, they can attach photos. They can also call either myself or the fire hall to speak with the municipal enforcement officers to have that looked at.
Okay, thanks. And one last note, thanks for doing those evening shifts. I think those are very important there too. To go out of your way to do that, because a lot of things happen in the evening there too. So I appreciate that, or I think we appreciate that as a council. Any other comments? Councilor Idris?
So what's the regular shift for the I don't know.
Through to Mayor to Chair, Councillor Idris. So our normal day-to-day shifts are 8 to 5. Myself and Pete, the other CPO, we alternate weekends, where our bylaw officer, Alexis, she's Monday to Friday, 8 to 5. So when we determine to do a night shift, we still stick to the 8-hour shift. We just adjust our times based on whatever the need is. So if we're having more issues with graffiti, I know that's happening between 2 and 4 a.m. My shifts are going to be adjusted to ensure that that coverage is there. If we're focusing on like litter, garbage dumping, our shifts might go from, that's normally happening just as it gets dark, so like 10 to 12. So I guess not just dark, it's already dark by then, but that's typically when we're seeing people. So it largely depends on what it is we're out there looking for. So we try and find a shift that kind of covers those primary time gaps, but they're open to.
So is that common in communities that the bylaw police have like the 8 to 5 or 8 to 4?
So in a lot of municipal enforcement agencies, especially with the bylaw positions, it is quite common for Monday to Friday, 8 to 5, or alternating weekends. I do know of other peace officer agencies that run night shifts. They just do either 4 on, 4 off, alternating days to nights. So it's not completely uncommon, but for around here in the south end, it's quite uncommon. So
Quite uncommon.
uncommon in the south end. So.
Uncommon to do the 8 to 4 or to do the?
To do the night shifts. I know the county of Newell, they don't do night shifts. Strathmore, I don't think they do night shifts. There's a whole bunch that don't do night shifts, so.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to number 3 here, Old Rodeo Grounds, development options. Don, you're up.
Through the chair to mayor and council. Staff has looked at options for development of the old rodeo grounds on 7th Street East. Attached are layout concepts showing 4 options. Option 1 includes the development of a BMX park, soccer field, adding bocce ball and lawn bowling to the existing horseshoe pits, and a dog park to remain at the south portion of the lot. Option 2 allows for the continued use of a dog park, the addition of a BMX park, and allows for the development of a new City of Brooks Public Workshop. Option 3 has a larger dog park with the addition of the public workshop and relocating the horseshoe pits. And option 4 allows for a dog park, soccer field, and public workshop. A request for proposal was posted by the city to look for potential developers to propose a mixed-use housing development. Unfortunately, the city did not receive any proposals, which met the intent of the RFP. Council then directed staff to engage the public and determine what the citizens of Brooks would like to see in the old rodeo grounds. In council committee on August 24th, 2021, staff provided council with the results of the public engagement done on the old rodeo ground property. A copy of the engagement summary has been included for your reference. Based on the results of the engagement survey and discussions with council, staff has put together the above noted possible development scenarios for the old rodeo grounds. Therefore, staff recommends that council accept this report as information and direct staff as to which options they would like to further explore.
Okay, where do we go with this here now?
So through the chair to mayor and council, so at this point, staff has come up with 4 options and they're looking to council for direction as to which option to explore.
Councillor Jessica?
Yeah, so I wasn't party to the process. I did have a discussion with somebody that did participate in the stakeholder meeting. And from what I understand, the public workshop was not part of the stakeholder meeting, and they were actually a little bit upset that it was rearing its head now. I might suggest that if we're going to move in that direction, we may have to put that out for a little bit more public input as well, because it looks like overwhelmingly it was more for a public use area.
Any other comments? Councillor Waldrop?
Further down on the agenda, there's a proposal to potentially buy those
Yeah.
buildings to,
That's
Yeah.
in camera discussion on land.
great. I do have another thing to say.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry about that. Most respondents, when I looked at this survey, we can talk about this survey, right? Okay. Most of these respondents, 58% of them worked for the city of Brooks. So I don't know if,
I'd have to
Like,
go
it
back
just-
to
it
that
seems-
survey. I don't know if they're employed by the city of Brooks. They might work in the city of Brooks. Maybe that's the.
okay, yeah.
I bet you,
pardon me.
I'm quite sure that's how that is
Oh,
where are
okay,
you employed?
okay.
They
Yeah, I
probably
was
work in the
wondering
city of
about
Brooks.
that,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. Councillor Good enough?
So a few of the options, thank you for doing the drawings, the 4 options that we have here. My opinion would be is I'd like to stay within option 1, although I don't know if there's much of a need, and I didn't see from this survey, horseshoes or bocce ball or lawn bowling as a major asset in our city or entertainment. Although in Medicine Hat, I would say lawn bowling they do have clubs there, and is a great exercise for our senior community, and they do like that quite a bit. So, but horseshoes I think is not, I don't know. I know there's a pit out there now, and I think Councillor John Nesbitt has cleaned it up a few times in the past, but I don't know if it's regularly used. But I'd like to see it stay within the BMX and the dog park and a soccer field. I think the soccer field would be an amazing opportunity in our community, and with the facility of the bathrooms and the Kinsman building there, I think that's a tremendous benefit for out-of-town teams. If you noticed over the last few years, we get out-of-town soccer teams that come in, play at Duke of Sutherland, and there will be cars lined up, and it's been a great opportunity in our city to showcase. And I think this would actually be a great start for our soccer, adult soccer leagues in our city for outdoor. And to have that Kinsman building, now I know there needs to be some upgrades, some things like that, but this could be a start of something amazing. The bike park, for me, that's a winner. We've got a committee that's been striked up, however you want to say that. I think this could be a winner situation. Now it all just comes down to allotting the size. As someone who uses the dog park 2 to 3 times a day personally, I know my dog likes to run and needs the room. And at any time you can get from 5 or 6 dogs to over 45 dogs I've counted at one time that need room. Some of the requests that I know from the dog park, or dog owners would love to see water and lights out there. This is a lot of development that would have to go forward. But for me, and I think for a lot of the residents in the city of Brooks, they want to see this developed strategically and very smart. Strategically, and just let's be smart about this. And so I like option, I guess 1 would be my opinion, or opinion 1, without the sorry, John, the horseshoes, but,
Okay. Counselor Idris?
I actually don't feel still I have enough information to go with any of the options. So I don't know how can we move giving directions. Some of the things I would like to see is pros and cons of each option, in the sense that, you know, this is what people say, this is what translates into this option, and this is what we will be missing or not missing in each option. And then some numbers. I know we may need to spend money to figure out how much it's going to cost, but I think some preliminary numbers will help me make a decision.
Counselor Waltrip?
I agree. I'd also like to see more options without the Public Works building. As there's only one option without the Public Works building, I'd like to see how else that could look potentially, just besides the one option.
Counselor Nesbitt?
Yes, I agree with Mohammed. We need more information, because there's no doubt Public Works needs room. They need some big upgrades in the spot they're at now. We definitely need a BMX park. I know we've looked at 5 locations in Brooks. This would be a great spot. And a dog park, well, you can see the vehicles that are there every day with people walking their dogs. And I would like to see, again, have some more information come forward. If Public Works could upgrade where they're at now, rather than moving the whole issue over to the rodeo grounds, or if it has to be moved to the rodeo grounds. But definitely, I like the one with the Public Works, the BMX park and the dog park that are there now. But I think we have to all sit down and discuss this with more information.
Counselor Prentice?
Yeah, I guess I was the one that brought this up after the fact for the Public Works when we were discussing it. And we've looked at several locations before for property. This is the only piece of property left in this area that the city of Brooks owns, and it's close for Public Works, good access, and on this side of the railroad tracks. So if the Public Works is needed down the road, it doesn't have to be done like the next 5 years or whatever, but the land should be set aside. Once you start moving across the tracks, the cost of Public Works is gonna go sky high. This is a good location. City owns the land, doesn't cost anything, and I know we want lots of dog parks, but we got lots of land around for parks and whatever. You got East End down here and all over, so I think it's important to take a look and see if this is what Public Works need, is to get the land set aside, because once this is gone, there is no property left in that whole area, or anywhere, period. You're gonna be across the tracks, so this is the last shot we got. The county yards are gone, the school board's got the other properties. There is nothing left, so, and the city does own the property. I know we want all these wonderful things, but I think there's lots of other areas for it, so I'm thinking that the Public Works is pretty important. It's good access and the whole works, and that's why I actually brought it up originally. So.
Counselor Jessica?
Well, I guess right off the bat, we did go through a public process and did get a response that, with no mention of Public Works. So one thing to do would be to go back to people with that, but you did have a pretty good response to this survey. And it is when you talk about available pieces of property, this is a very nice piece of property in that area for the option 1 application. Public Works could be built. There are other properties in south of the tracks. I don't think there's any really disadvantage to having it south of the tracks, though, you know, my own personal thoughts are, first thing is to explore looking at what we can do with the existing site, and which is already set aside for that, and it wouldn't interfere with anything. While here, you do have a nice large piece of property. There has been discussion of some residential, possibly at the north end down the road, but once we stick the Public Works in there, then that's what it's going to be forever. So I think we'd have to give it some careful thought before we move in that direction.
Okay, Counselor Goodenough?
And just a reminder too on this is that staff is looking for direction. So obviously we don't have financials today, but to send direction, I think the clear direction is option 1, for my opinion, for my dog's sake and my backyards. But I think we can give them a clear directive today. I don't know, Councillor Prentice, if maybe part of the option or what they bring back is what the price would be if we had to purchase land over in the industrial area, and what would be the benefits or drawbacks to that. I think in a lot of cities, to put a public workshop in prime land might not be the best use of our space, but just my thought.
Councilor Nesbitt?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I did want to point out that the city already owns the Kin building. That is our building already.
Councilor Jessica?
Just getting back to available land, Councilor Prentice, the city does have some land at the south end of the industrial park where they're stockpiling street sweepings and stuff. Would something in that area be suitable?
The big thing about going across the tracks, it's the inconvenience of the trains and the whole bit and getting farther out, so nothing's impossible, it's just gonna cost a lot of money. We looked at this a few years ago where the recycle went even, and it does cost more money, and I think the city should be looking after ourselves as well. I think that we're pretty damn important to have a good public works location because that's what services this whole community, so. And there's lots of room for other facilities as far as sports and whatever, so. Like I say, this is the last piece of property that's really good location for whatever, and if it's needed, if you lose this, you're done. You're gonna go across the tracks and whatever's gonna cost you more.
Just a couple questions there too, and maybe Randy can probably answer this. Is there a need for another soccer field in town? And while you get to your seat, I'll just comment. I know during the campaign, I think there is a need for a dog park. There is a need for a BMX park there, but it doesn't necessarily have to be there. But I'm with Councilor Prentice there. I think that would make a great area there for the public works there. And initially, I thought residential there, but then I got looking at it. It didn't make sense for residential to be an island in area of institutional buildings there. So that's my comment on that. But go ahead there, Randy.
Yeah, through the chair to Mayor Petrie. So it really depends on the soccer programs you're looking at. I think it was a councillor, Goodenough, had mentioned the adult soccer program that we've really seen explode recently in the last year or so. They're using Duke of Sutherland quite often, and it's very, very busy. I'm not privy to information about whether they're finding that's not enough space for them. I think as far as our outdoor soccer youth programs, we do have sufficient fields through use of our soccer pitches at the schools. So we do have joint use agreements with the schools and work with Grassland Soccer on providing outdoor soccer there. The only time where we've actually had to build or create a temporary soccer pitch was when we hosted the Southern Alberta Summer Games in 2017, and we actually had a temporary one that we put in at Evergreen Park. But other than that, I'm not sure there is at this time a huge demand, but if soccer continues growing, it could be in the future, so.
I don't think this was in our rec master plan, but this was a vision of mine, was to build a facility similar to what they have in down south in, Raymond, whatever, they have an artificial turf facility. Automatically when you say artificial turf, but in the end, you save a lot of money because you don't have to cut the grass or you don't have to weed it, whatever. But to build a facility, and a lot of the cities are going that way, and I know it's expensive, but you could use it for soccer and for football. And then and I know the school system is going through some rearrangements there, but the idea would be to get all the football programs together. Maybe they fundraise it where, the high school Buffaloes, the junior high Roadrunners, the Chrysler Redeemer system all get together for that. And you use that for football with lights and an artificial turf, and then it's also soccer. But anyway, that's sort of my vision, how I see that. And I think the one in Raymond was, I think when I checked, it was about $3 million when they built that. But like I say, you don't have to water it. You don't have to, you just have to make sure the dogs don't get on it. So, but anyway, that's why I bring that up there. So I'm kind of with Bill. I kind of like this area as for public works there. That's my opinion on that. But okay, Councilor Jessica.
Okay, so going in that vein, I'm just looking at the plan now. In 2020 hindsight, it's probably too bad that the city didn't purchase the property to the south of there when it was for sale, but what about, I'm still hoping to preserve that north area for some possible future utilization, and I still want to maximize park space and recreation space. Would it be possible to set up Public Works towards the south end of the property? And then if they do move Public Works there, then you're still going to have the facilities and the property at the existing location. What happens with that? And would there be a possibility of using that for some storage to offset some of the land requirement at this location?
Yeah, I don't have the answer to that. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll try to say it again, but I don't think I can.
Okay, so did we get anywhere? Councillor Waltrip?
The other thing that I see about these options with the Public Works set aside there is that it takes up like 2/3 of the space. Like it is a large space. I know, sorry, but and I do see the value in terms of, like, it would be more expensive and probably irritating to be across the tracks. But the thing is if we were to, this is prime space for the city, and it's prime green space. Like, it's not like we can get more green space other places. We can't get green space across the tracks. So if we wanted, if we put it there, that's taking a big chunk of potential space that could be developed as recreational space, whereas within the city, would it potentially be more difficult to set up a space like that within, do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Councillor Jessica?
Just getting back to the old site then, there's probably some limitations on what it can be used for. I know there's some contamination issues and things. Has anybody thought been given into making that into a green space? Like where the Public Works is now, if they move here, what happens to that property? It's already adjacent to a park area.
Oh, I see, yeah. Reclaimed, yes, I know what you're saying, yeah.
Some of the facilities we're talking about here could conceivably be put there.
Okay, I don't think we've given you any direction, have we? Maybe Ellen can help us out here.
Well, you have given us a little bit of direction.
Yeah.
I don't know how clear it is, but, what we are hearing is that council does want a little bit more information.
Yeah.
And maybe an estimation of costs, and maybe we can also look at other properties within the municipality that all of these uses can be, maybe not all in the same place, but other areas in the city that we can. We can look at the southeast side there as well, and come back with further options and permutations and combinations.
Okay, so that's what we'll go with it. Okay, Councillor Goodenough?
Sorry, just a question for Dawn, my favorite neighbor. How long have you been in the current Public Works building? And is there if we're talking about building a new one, what's wrong or what's inefficient about this one that you're in now currently?
Yeah, with this building that we're in now, the office space is very small. We're finding that we're kind of on top of each other all the time in there. The roof needs a new roof, and there should be a upgrade to the siding all the way around. And that's not just the main building that we're in, but on the building in behind as well. And the insulation is very poor. It needs basically a whole new rebuild.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we go back to the drawing board then? Is that the plan then, Ellen? Okay. Okay, any other questions on that one there? Okay, number 4, and Joel's going to speak on this one about the lack of vets in the community.
So there's a concern that's coming down I think that's going to be coming down the road here shortly, is the lack of vets in our city. Recently, I found out that some of our pet owners are having to take their pets out of town, booking appointments out of town now. Currently, there's 2 vets that are preparing to leave the city. And I can't confirm this, but and so maybe I should speak to it per se, but I'll just throw it out there, is that for small animals, that service won't be provided possibly in the new year for the city of Brooks. And I'm just wondering if the city, we need to take an initiative to, as we've had to in the past, to attract doctors, attract vet doctors to our city and be proactive in this. That's all. So I don't know what the direction would be. I'm just saying we got to do something sooner than later.
Alan? Yeah.
Yes, through the chair to mayor and council, this was brought up at our joint services meeting, which we just had, and Lisa does have some information on that, and she can provide that quickly, and you know, what the province is doing right now, and then we can talk about coming up with our own strategy through joint services as well.
Thank you. Through the chair to mayor and council. We were approached by the province back in February or January of 2020 regarding this issue, that they foresaw it becoming an issue, especially in rural communities and especially with large animal veterinarians, that there is a major decrease. People are retiring faster and they're just not producing them quick enough, especially into the rural areas. So I want to say it was the Minister of Agriculture and the Minister of Economic Development at the time sought a meeting with us in the Brooks region, due in large part to JBS Canada being here and the feedlots being here, to find out what issues we were facing with veterinarians and supply and what could be done. So we did a bunch of research. We contacted the local vet clinics and got their feedback, and then the world broke and our meeting got canceled. And we still have the information and we still have the contacts that we've developed, but we haven't done anything to date with it. And I don't think it's been a focus of the Alberta government since then. Some of the feedback that we received from the vet offices, one of them in town is not operated with a local vet. It's operated by kind of like a conglomerate, and they assign a veterinarian to come to town however regularly they can. And it's really, really difficult to get small animal vets in place. And then the other vet clinics cited the same kind of struggles, that it's just very difficult to attract people to a rural area. Getting into vet school is really, really difficult. And then finding someone who's going to specialize in large animals is also really difficult. So there might be issues going forward with the feedlots and the beef industry in terms of access to vets moving forward. If the City of Brooks or if Joint Services as a regional initiative wanted to look at doing an attraction retention program, we could work with the province, work with those in town who need those services, whether they be the vet clinics or the feedlots, and try to come up with a strategy blueprinted off of our physician recruitment and retention strategy that we have.
I think it's something joint services could undertake, right? Yeah.
Well, it would be through joint services
Yeah.
because of be an economic development type of
Yeah.
activity for sure.
Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, I know, Councillor Idris, if you wanted to just kind of touch on accreditation there, because we talked about that the other day there too.
That touches on the, similarly to the doctors for vets, especially those foreign qualified, foreign trade vets, they need to go through a process. I actually know of a local person that it took him 7 years to go through the system, and actually they ended up leaving the community, and now he has a successful practice in Calgary. So I know that the province is working on a they call it the Office of Fairness, or the Fairness Office, and the Premier is looking into putting a summit together in the spring to kind of talk to these bodies that certify doctors in the different professions, to tell them, you know what, you need to be fair to people, and you need to show people that this is the path. Because the problem sometimes now is that there is just all not very clear, and you have to, knock on many doors to get the information even. So I think that is something that if we are thinking about especially recruiting foreign vets, we need to consider, and we need to see how can we help there.
Okay, so in conclusion then, I know the provincial government is working on that, and then we'll take it back to joint services as part of the economic development there. Okay, Councillor, good enough?
Just the last comment. I hope that we're not relying on the provincial government to help us in this, because if we've seen anything in the last little while, yeah, that's enough of a comment on that. So I think, hopefully that we will take the initiative to track down people.
Through the chair to mayor and council, it might also be something with the upcoming AUMA convention, depending on which ministers you're calling meetings with. The county of Newell is planning a meeting with the Minister of Agriculture, and the access to veterinarians is going to be on their agenda for their a RMA to discuss veterinarians as an economic development issue for the beef industry. So it might be something that if you wanted to put a bug in somebody's ear, that would be an opportunity.
Okay, good. Okay, any other responses? Okay, Councillor Prentice?
So in that survey that you did, is it the same, I don't know how far you went, but is everybody got the same problem? Or it's not just this area here, so I presume it's Alberta-wide?
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Prentice, it was Alberta-wide. We were selected to take part in this meeting because of the proximity to the feedlots and the impact on the beef industry, as well as the small animals and quality of life. So it is across rural Alberta.
So just short of vets, period, then?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that's about it for that. We move into camera then. Oh. Okay, okay. Questions from the media there, but I think Sandra was going to record this and phone me in the morning there, or phone you in the morning there, so, okay. Yeah, okay, need a motion to move into camera at 5:20. Councillor Prentice moves into camera at 5:20, seconded by Councillor Nesbitt there. Are we all good here then?